Yo, Ferg here. This replay is of a game I played against a 1900 MMR player who eventually went into worms against my marksman board. I wanted to show you this replay for three reasons. One, countering worms. Two, playing flexible. And three, anticipation. However, let's start with anticipation. You need to be ready to play the game, okay? It's not just, oh, I'll take it as it comes. Sure, things change, right? You need to have a plan for every general scenario. You can think about these scenarios as matchups, and these matchups are based off of the unit pairings and the specialist choices that you get as cards in the beginning of the game. And so you need to know how to beat Spider Fang, or you need to know how to counter Mustang Crawler, or you need to know how to beat Ball Crawl, right? These are things that you need to have ready in your brain before you even start playing the game, right? So plan ahead. However, it doesn't have to be super detailed. It just has to be concise. And for example, this is how I counter worms. I get some fangs and I click ignite. Here's round 5. Round 4, my opponent dropped round 4 worm, and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna take the things that make it hard for worm to do worm things. So I take the tank prod line, and this was the round 4 worm, so I'm like, okay, I'll just put it in the center Vulcan to gum up the board. We keep going. Opponent builds 2 more worms and gets replicate. This is $1,900 in value, and I get 2 more fangs this turn. Click range on my Vulcans to help with the spider mines, and then click ignite on my fangs to counter the worms. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 fangs. That's a 200 credit tech. That's $800. 800 credits versus 1900 credits. Obviously, fangs are easily counterable. We know this. But opponent is hard forcing these worms. I can do this. I'm allowed to do this. Because if he does go Mustang or Stormcaller, we can counter that. We can put some AM devices down. We can put some shields down. We can put Fang Shield so they live longer. And we got lots of options. That being said, I feel like this game was a little bit in my favor. We kind of got what we needed, but we chose the right cards to build this Vulcan marksman board that also countered worms by using fangs. And you know, the meta is the standard meta is heavily into worm right now, and so you know you need to know what an effective counter is against the worm, right? So this is my version of it. And we're just gonna pause here. So yeah, 3 worms, 1 level 2, double teched. I just got my second tech. I just got 2 techs this turn. Opponent's up a tech on the tarantulas, essentially countered though by a unit. So we're now matching techs, and I would say the value of his board is quite high. So is mine. So we're pretty on par with unit value, but unit efficiency, these spiders are struggling to get the job done, especially against my fangs, which take a long time to get to. And by that time, I've cleared most of his chaff. And so the marksmen are just killing them for free. So a little bit of matchup mishap going on there. Not really playing the spider to its full strength. And so we do have that advantage. However, marksman not typically good into worms. And so you could say the same thing there. Anyway, uh, why is this effective? Because worms can't get photon coating unless they get the photon coating item. But even then, it's just one, and you can always find a different counter for that single worm. Because if they build more worms, you can just click ignite on the fangs, and that'll help kill all the rest of the worms that don't have photon coating. And they also have a lot of HP. Typically, they will because people will be clicking armor. And so the ignite works even better in that sense, right? 6% per second for 2 seconds. That's 12%. That's a lot, right? And then on top of all the other DPS that's happening, you can see the worm's health bar just goes down pretty significantly. And we're going to watch that happen right now as the opponent takes super heavy armor. Even more HP. I don't know what the opponent was thinking. More HP, the better, right? Wrong. Because this number just keeps getting bigger. Now, I already mentioned it, but the only time I wouldn't consider taking ignite is if there was only one worm on the board and there was no more for the rest of the game, and they had that photon coating item. Clicking ignite on your fangs is a $200 investment versus the player spending 200 to unlock worm and then build it, right? So $600 investment versus $200 investment. You can't really go wrong clicking ignite on your fangs. And yeah, so I would consider this to be extremely effective strategy to counter the worm, but you have to play it properly. You need to set it up, and it can be quite tricky. We did have some luck in this sense. But I've had other games where I've played very inefficient boards and clicked ignite on my fangs and still ended up winning because it is a very powerful counter. Um, that being said, I'm going to go into my last point, which is playing flexible. Stop assuming and stay open-minded to your unit choices and techs, because you might think that you want to overcommit to acid scorpions or um, melter, right, to counter the worms, but you don't need to. You just need some fangs, right? Sometimes the simplest solution is the best, and it starts with recognizing the limitations of your opponent's board. So we might get into that in another video, but today, hopefully you learned something. That's all for me for this video. Thanks for watching. I'm going to let you watch this level 4 worm lose all its HP. Take care, everyone. Yeah, that thing melted. GG.